Welcome to the Overland Sea podcast. Today we are talking about the Brighton game, which is happening on Sunday. They are currently 8th in the league. They have won 6, drawn 4, lost 3, and currently on 22 points. Their last 5 results are a win away at Forest, which was actually a very good game. They drew with Sheffield at home, 1-1. They drew away with Everton 1-1, drew at home with Fulham 1-1, and then they lost away to Man City 2-1. Both teams have significant injuries at the moment, which is the exact same number, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 injuries. Although Nkuku and Lavia are on their way back, they're still not expected to be featuring this weekend. And Nkuku is slightly ahead of Lavia. Excuse me. Fofana is still out. Gusto is still out with a knock. And then Chalobah, Chukwuemeka, and Chilwell are also out. We also had 2 suspensions in Reece James and Cucurella. Ironically, Brighton also had 2 suspensions for the game, which is Dunk and Dahoud. So the lineup should be relatively straightforward. But before we get to that, Andrew, talk to me about what you would like to see after the 4-1 thrashing against Newcastle.
Effort, energy, willingness to win the second ball, willingness to get on the ball, willingness to make runs. The things that, and some direct running from the wingers, the things that have actually made us look like we are a football team at times this season, and just seem to escape us that day, and just an extra level of concentration because there were a few silly mistakes that happened during that game. I'm not sure the first 11 picks itself this week. I'm
Interesting.
slightly nervous. I was under the impression that Gusto was going to be fit for this game, in which case it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, I mean, I've read he's not, but then again, I think they're gonna make a late decision on him. I think Gusto is going to play if he's available. If he's not, then it's probably going to be Dizazi. Yeah, I mean, the game against Newcastle, we just had no energy, did we? Like you said, there was no impetus, really, apart from a couple of spells.
We have always struggled. Our midfield's definitely always struggled after the international break. I think in general we've kind of struggled after the international break.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I can understand Enzo and Caicedo struggling after the international break. I'm not aware that Thiago Silva goes to Brazil anymore. Maybe he does sometimes, maybe he doesn't sometimes. I don't know if he went this time or not.
I think he does. I think he does sometimes. I don't remember if he went or not, but he didn't have the best game against Newcastle at all.
No, but like Reece James didn't go. Obviously, got sent off. Don't think Cucurella gets in the Spain squad.
No, I mean, I was really
Sanchez
surprised by Reece
doesn't.
James's performance, to be honest.
Admittedly, Cole Palmer went but didn't play a lot of minutes. And I think spent most of the time in England anyway. I don't remember the game.
I don't think we had any away games.
Yeah. So I'm slightly surprised at the levels. I don't know what Jackson was doing with Senegal. But he flew off to Villarreal immediately after the game.
Yeah, there's been a bit of controversy on that since Pochettino said that they were going to be in the next day training, which clearly didn't happen because there was videos of, as you said, Jackson, Villarreal, and Mudryk doing a helicopter tour of London.
Well, at least he stayed in London. He wasn't doing a fucking international flight on a day off after a relatively shabby performance.
Yeah, I just think more. I thought more than anything else, it's like, do you know what? If he, for me, it was more like if you're going to let them off and then not make them train, fair enough. That's your decision. But I think after you've come out and made a public announcement saying that you're not happy and this is what's going to happen, for me, it's either you come back out and say, actually, no, it was in the heat of the moment. They're still getting their day off. Or you say to the lads, just don't post anything. Go off and do what you want. but don't start putting it all over your social media.
I don't know. I don't know about the Nicholas Jackson thing, whether it was because he posted it or Villarreal posted it or what. But it's just not a good look, is it? It's not helpful. If it's a rest day, it's a rest day, and I wouldn't personally class flying to Spain as a rest day. But maybe that's because I fly commercial, not my private jet, and I don't have enough leg room as a 6'5" individual, and I'm folded into a chair.
I still don't agree with that as being a rest day. It's more of I'd call it a luxury day. I wouldn't call it a rest day, but I also think the point of the matter is going abroad for a day after that level of performance, I don't think's good. I mean, Rashford got a lot of stick for organising a birthday months in advance that happened to then fall on the Man City. Was it the Manchester Derby day? They got thrashed, and then he went out. Well, I think a couple of players joined, but he had this big party organised for his birthday, and he got slated for it.
Yeah,
and I'm a bit like, yeah, fair enough. Have your day off, do what you need to rest. But I think going abroad is a little bit too far for me.
It's one of those where like there's physical rest, there's mental rest, right? Like maybe that going away, being Villarreal, gives him some element of mental rest that will help him. I think
Agreed.
he has to have a huge game this week to justify it, though. Like he has to really show something this week to justify it. Otherwise, I'm hacked off that he hasn't just rested properly. If he has a shit game this week, like there's nowhere really to hide. Like you haven't put yourself in the best position by international travel. I get that you're a human. I get that there's certain things that everyone else gets to do that you don't, but not everyone gets multiple thousands of pounds a week to kick a ball around the park. You only get, what, 10, 15 years to do it at best. I think you've got to make the most of it while you can. And I think common sense stresses to me that actually having a day of actual proper rest and recovery is probably better than flying to Spain for the day for most people. And maybe the exception, but
I do agree. I think the other thing is, and I'm not saying it's okay, but I think the other thing is where we don't have a midweek game, and a lot of other clubs do. You would argue that actually they will still have significant time to rest, to be fair, throughout the week. I think if there was a midweek game this week and that was happening, I'd be furious. I'm not saying it's still okay, because I still don't think it's right to then be like, yeah, do you know what, we've lost 4-1. I'm going to go off and see my old team. I just think it's not great, but it's not awful.
That midweek game is a hindrance. It's one of those that is, it's great to play. You want to be in those competitions, but at the same time, you look at a lot of teams that massively overachieve this season. It's when they don't have European football, and they're playing against teams that do, and they come up against teams that do have European football, and it is a hindrance flying across Europe. Some games are in Eastern Europe, some games are in sort of Spain, continental Europe. Even just playing a game at home, it's an extra game. It's extra legs.
I think the flying. I think
part of the benefit of it is you have more time on the training pitch.
Yeah.
The whole point of the day off is to rest and recover. We don't then want to lose another day of, oh, now he's actually resting and recovering rather than training because he didn't rest and recover on the rest and recovery day that was supposed to be resting, and he's been folded up in a plane.
No, I do agree. And ironically, I actually was listening to, just by chance, it just happened to come on, the High Performance podcast today. And Poch came on. This is before he joined Chelsea. And he'd been let go from PSG. And he was saying that one of the things that he actually brings in, which I was really surprised to hear, because from what I've heard from other managers or former players who are now managers, is they never did this, which is he keeps the players at the training ground for like 12 hours. So they've got like that kind of bonding and that family kind of vibe, and they actually get to know each other a bit more. It's not just a question of you come in, you train, you do your physio and all that sort of stuff, and then you go home. Like I think he makes it like a bit more of a full session throughout the day. From what he was saying on the podcast, which so
Surely 12 hours is strong, though, right? It's not 12.
he said 12. He said this is why we do 12 hours on the train. This is why we do 12 hours on the training pitch. So I don't really mean throughout a week, but I thought he was talking about on a daily basis because of the type of community he wants to join. Well, not to join, to bring into the clubs that he works at. But I do agree, like a rest day is a rest day at the end of the day. I think after again the performance that we saw, and he didn't do anything special. He looked like he was at the beginning of the season. Pardon me. Actually, no, just after the beginning of the season, he looked all right at the beginning of the season. So yeah. Do you want to move on to the starting 11s?
Yes.
Cool.
Do it.
Excuse me. Cool. So, as you don't think it's going to be straightforward, I will let you go first because I'm intrigued to see what you do differently.
I'm not entirely sure that makes sense, but fine. I think it's kind of come into my head while we've been talking. Sanchez in goal, obviously. I'm going to go. The only real option at right back is Dizazi. In theory, I think I'd still stick by Thiago Silva at centre back.
Well, I don't think we've got much of a choice, to be honest.
No. Oh, I completely forgot about Badiashile. So I was going to say Colwill, and then I'd give Ian Matson a go at left back.
Do you know what? I just saw Matson and I was like, oh, maybe. But I was like, Poch won't do that.
No, he probably won't, but I think that's actually potentially what I'd do.
I agree.
Actually, wasn't a problem.
Originally, I was going to have all 4 centre backs that we can put out on the back line.
I just think that even when we had people out, he'd like playing someone that can get forward and would shift back to that system of 3 big centre backs that kind of like becomes a back 3.
Yeah.
And then Matt, I think there's like I'm gonna go with it could be Colwill or Badiashile depending on fitness, but I'm gonna go with Colwill because he likes him. And then I'm gonna put in Matson at left back, just purely on the basis that I think he'll want some attacking output and someone that can go forward. I think.
No, I agree.
Playing 4 centre backs is difficult
Against a team like Brighton as well.
Yeah, and they've got Ansu Fati on one side.
Well, to be fair, I was going to say they do have some key injuries, which Ansu Fati's out, Lamptey's out, Estupiñán's out, Welbeck's out, Espinola, Webster, and Solly March are all out.
But I didn't hear Matoma's name in that.
No, they're expecting Matoma to be back.
Yeah, and I think they've got another one. Is Enciso, because Enciso was out last game. Is that what you said?
I think Enciso's okay.
Because he's a good player as well, and he's quick.
Well, he scored against us last season.
Yeah, unbelievable. I think he was the sub, and for me, he was man of the match. He was unbelievable in that game.
Oh, he was, and it was such a good goal. Honestly, he had a great game.
Midfield 3 is the standard 3 for me. Now it's kind of without Lavia, it's not really an option, is there? But you could probably play Cole Palmer in midfield, but I think I'm assuming Caicedo's back if he was able to play 25 minutes against Newcastle. So
yeah, I think it was. I don't think he had a knock. I honestly think it was to do with the time frame that he got back in. If I'm brutally honest, and Poch said we got managers minutes. Got to be careful of him and stuff. Before that reason, I was like, fair. I still don't see why he didn't start, and then you take him off at half time. Truthfully, That would have been my preferred option because I don't think Big Les had the best game, and both Big Les, Jackson, and Thiago Silva have all been crucified on social media this week. I think Thiago
Yeah, I think Les
harsh,
struggled.
but
Thiago Silva had a couple of high-profile issues. Like he did that silly, got the ball stuck under his feet by the corner flag, and then obviously gave them the ball for the one of the
yeah, I
goals.
know, and I get it. I do get it, but people are saying, "Oh, he's passed it." Blah blah blah. It's like he's had one bad game all season. Like
Yeah,
he's normally Mr. Consistent, like layoff. Like he's had a bad game, but to say he's passed it and he should be playing for us anymore and all this sort of stuff is ridiculous.
he went from one of the best defenders in the league to past it in 90 minutes. Unbelievable.
It's mental.
I don't think it's going to be this, but I think this is arguably what I would like to see. Cole Palmer on the right, but yeah, on the right. That's on the left as we're looking at it. I want Broder up front.
Thank you
I
for
want to
that.
see what
Yeah.
he can do. I do want to put Noni in for some reason. I just have a feeling. But I think it should be Sterling actually. I think Broder up front and then Sterling.
Yeah, I had a feeling you were going to go with Broya.
I feel like he deserves a chance to challenge for the spot.
I think now you can argue it. I think after the Spurs game, after the City game, I don't think we had this
Yeah,
conversation.
it was difficult. I just think
If
that
you're gonna do it, you
he
can do it now.
definitely gives you more on games where he's not playing well and we're not playing well.
Say that again, sorry.
I think he gives us more on games where we're not playing well. And if I think Jackson only really helps us if he's playing well. And even then it's just finishing from what I've seen. And maybe that's the players around him. But I think Broya is more difficult. He's more of a unit and he's more difficult for defenders to deal with. So even if he's not having a good game, he's full of running. He's bigger. He throws his weight about a little bit more. And I think even
He does
if
more.
we're
Like you
having
said, he
a bad
does
game,
more.
he's having a bad game, he's more useful to the team than Jackson is, from what I've seen.
No, I'd agree. You know, there's a lot of question marks over Jackson at the moment. I've got a lot of question marks over Jackson at the moment, especially as they are talking about bringing in a striker in January. Um, you know,
And also with Jackson being away for most of January and some of Feb, if they do well in
Afcon.
AFCON, if we don't manage to bring a striker immediately at the start of January, we do need the bloke somewhat able to play and fit and firing. I get that we're going through a difficult period, but in a game where we've had a bit of a shit performance and we need energy levels, we need to cause the other team as many problems as we can and not let them have the ball and not let them just have their way with the game. I think he's a better option of being difficult. He's always reminded me of Diego Costa.
I was going to say
Less
that.
of an
Like, yeah,
asshole, but like
he
he's
gets in your
just
face. He
difficult.
gets in
He's
your face.
quick.
He does stuff.
Like
Yeah.
he pressures people. He's just that. And I think that's even with only scoring 13 goals at Southampton. I think that's what won him a lot of praise at Southampton. Was he was a striker that was just annoying to play against, and I think we could use a bit of that.
But yeah, Jackson for me is too passive. He doesn't cause a nuisance. I think he's actually quite easy to play against, to be honest. Not saying that I could defend against him, of course not. But
No, and then he complains to the referee or commits a silly foul and gets booked. You know, I don't what.
yeah.
Um, I'm not writing Jackson off at all, but I just think purely after how poorly we played last game, we just need as many players on the pitch that are going to make it as difficult for Brighton as possible.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not writing Jackson off, but as I keep saying, I don't want to sound like a broken record. I said earlier on in the summer, I said I don't think that these two strikers are going to be the two strikers that we need. Because of injury problems, because of Broya. Like I said, we've gotten Cuckoo to come back. You know, maybe it's a settling season for Jackson. Fair enough. it happens. But like I said, I do think we need probably one more person, unless Nkuku plays up top and can do a decent job. But
Yeah.
it's a
I've
tricky
heard
one.
your views on buying young players. It's not.
Well, we just bought that. Was it Gabriel Moscardo, the midfielder? Apparently, well,
No,
we've
we
agreed
don't.
a deal. We've agreed a deal with them, Corinthians, who we wanted in the summer, but we couldn't get, and now we've apparently agreed a deal. So we're now,
No, Fabrizio said that was off.
huh?
Fabrizio Romano said that was nonsense.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, everything that I've seen this week has been that has been agreed, and apparently it's been announced on Brazilian news.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a former player who's got his own show or podcast or something like that of Corinthians is very close to the club. He actually announced it on Brazilian TV or on his show or something, saying that's basically what's happened. Chelsea have agreed a deal. He's not obviously signed because it's not the transfer window, but they have agreed a deal. So other teams can probably come in and outbid us if they want to go above it, which I think is £21 million and about 26 million euros.
Right.
But again, I was like, he's 18. I was just like, is he really going to be able to come in and help us right now? I don't know. So
I think what I'm more upset about is there's another midfielder. And I get that currently we don't have a lot of midfielders in midfield, but we bought two 21-year-olds for over 100 million. We've bought Andre Santos, Cesar Casadei, Carney Chukwuemeka, Ugo Chukwu. We've signed, I think, big lads, there you go. We've signed, I think, a couple like 16-year-olds even that play midfield. And you go, so in 5 years' time, we're going to have 10 midfielders that we've signed for a relatively large amount of money that we're not be able to like regular minutes to because we've got 10 of them. So
who's Santos? Was it Santos? Was it that went on loan?
there's a Lavia as well. I forgot. Huh?
Was it Santos that went on loan to Forest?
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently he's coming back now because he's barely played and they're not happy. So we're now going to have him in January as well.
Well, he'll probably end up going back out on loan again, I'd assume.
Well, you imagine.
Lavia will be back by then. So I think he took the pick between Ugo Chukwu and Santos, and he preferred Ugo Chukwu. So Ugo Chukwu, big Les, stuck around.
Getting better at saying his name, to be fair to you then. I was like, you didn't get stuck then. That's good.
I mean, say it 5 times fast. It's not. There's a lot of syllables there, a lot of vowels. It's difficult. But yeah, we've got a lot of midfielders, but none of them at the club at the minute. So we're kind of those are the three that we have to play. It is what it is, I guess.
Yeah.
Would you change anything about that starting 11?
As I said before, I forgot about Maatsen because he's barely featured. Like I said, I think there's stuff going on behind the scenes. I think he's going to leave in January, if I'm brutally honest. So I forgot about him. So I was originally going to have Cole at left back and then Badashu at the left centre back. If this is a possible thing in terms of, you know, there's no issues and Maatsen's happy to play and the club are happy for him to play, then I would do that because, like you've said, and I completely agree, having a fullback that can offer something, you know, attacking wise and getting forward, I think is definitely beneficial. And you know what? I'm 50-50 on the whole Broja and Jackson thing. I honestly don't know what the right decision is. You know, if Broja's fit and Broja can play, you know, for 90 minutes or a half, great. You know, if not, then play Jackson and bring Broja on if you need him. I think my only thing with that is I've got nothing against Broja playing. It's good to have competition. Do we basically just say to Jackson, right, you've got this other opportunity now? Because after this game we've got Man United, and that's a game that we need 3 points. Considering what you said earlier on as well, which I completely forgot about to some degree, is the whole, you know, playing teams that have the midweek game. Well, Newcastle we played last weekend, and they had a midweek game this week. And that for me should have been. I know there was an international break, but I think a lot of them did go away on the internationals, and that should have been 3 points for me. Plus the injuries that they had, but they also had a very good game against PSG.
I think it was the injuries, and I think a lot of their players were injured before the international break, and then a fair number of them came back during it.
Yeah, they did. We did, like we said,
Yeah.
we read a report and it said like these players are still going to be out, and there was a couple that might be okay. And to be fair, the ones that might be okay actually did play. But Brighton played tonight in Europa. Were they away? I think they're in Greece. I think they were
Yeah,
away.
they're in Greece.
Yeah,
They
they're
lost.
away.
They won 1-0.
So that's why we're playing on the Sunday. So maybe that will work in our favour. So I don't know. I'd be happy with that. But then again, if Jackson's up top, Jackson's up top.
Yeah, I'm not. It's not disastrous. I think this is edges it in the way that I hope that we play. But yeah, I think it will be Jackson. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was Cole Badashiel instead of Matson.
Yeah, just because he's done it before. And
Yeah.
like I said, there just seems to be some sort of underlining issue with them playing Matson or what, because the contract talks, and I don't know. I don't get it. Because I think in some ways I'd probably have him over Cucurella, or like see him a bit more just to see what he can do compared to Cucurella.
When you see the teams that he's linked with, it's Man City, it's Barcelona. It's not. I mean, Burnley are in there because he was there last season.
Yeah, Burnley
There are
won.
other teams like
Burnley,
that going
Burnley
in, but
really liked him, and I can understand them trying to go for him, and they went for him in the summer, and I completely get that. But you're right. When you see, well, we had the same thing with Callum Hudson-Odoi when he was there. Well, was he playing a little bit for us just before he got that injury? Bayern Munich came in for him. And it's, I don't know. I just think it's weird. I just think it's weird because I think actually he's probably one of the best options we've got in that position.
yeah, I want to see him play more, so that's why I want him there.
So yeah, I agree with that. I've just got a horrible feeling. I've got a horrible feeling that he won't do it. And I think if he doesn't play now in this game, I think he's done. I think he'll be out. I think Chalobah will be out. I think they might pull the trigger on a couple more players to go out on loan. I've already got an idea of who I think should go out on loan. Because they're going to have to make room. Because, like I said, they're supposed to be buying 3 players in January.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I think you're right. In terms of it's kind of a chicken and egg game where he wants minutes to sign a new contract, and they want him to sign a new contract if they give him minutes, and it's I agree. It probably does seem to be the end of his contract, like his Chelsea career, almost if he doesn't play this weekend.
well, it's just weird. I mean, they've obviously gone for Cucurella over him, so I think there's got to be some sort of sour or bitter taste in there because everyone, like I said, Cucurella's done okay.
Yeah,
he's done okay, but I think, as I said last vlogcast, I think we can get someone better. Again, doesn't have to be an absolute, worldie, but someone better. And I think Matson's all-round game is probably better than Cucurella's. So I just find it weird more than anything else.
what do you think the score's going to be, Matt?
Been thinking about this. I've got 2-1 in my head, and I'm going to say 2-1 either way. Just because I'm worried about. I mean, the League Cup game was pretty close between the two of us. If I remember correctly, at home, I want to say, was it 3-2 or 2-1? There was only one goal in it. They've got a goal in them. That's it. Even with their draws and like the games that they've lost, they've scored goals when they've been struggling. So I think I hate to say it, but I really do think it just depends on what Chelsea team shows up. But I'm going to say 2-1, and I will edge it to us because we're at home and we've beaten them before. Pardon me, but I'm now at that point again where I wouldn't be surprised if we do lose. especially after watching that Newcastle game. We need a big performance we just need a massive performance this weekend.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was going to 2-1, partially because I can't see us scoring more than 2, and I can't see them not scoring 1. So that was where I was going, and my hopeful. I want us to win. I think it could. I think realistically, in my head, I think it's actually going to be a draw. I think it'll be a 1-1 draw.
I was going to say 2-2.
But I'm hoping for a 2-1 win. I'm hoping we edge it somehow. Again, I just feel like if I'm looking at scorers, I'm going Cole Palmer with a pen, and I'm going to go with I think Sterling will get one.
Sterling's the first.
Every week, I just think if we're getting a goal, it's Cole Palmer from a pen.
I mean, I'm not going to complain about that in terms of, we're clearly doing, our wide players. I think it's normally our wide players that are getting them, bar Enzo against Spurs. But clearly you've got some players doing something right in the box to create those situations. But I do think you're right. I think you are looking at the wide men at the moment. I just hope Cole Palmer. I know you didn't really see it or didn't really agree with me, but for me, it did look like Cole Palmer was more in central and Gallagher was out right against Newcastle, which I don't agree with, and the commentators picked that up as well. So I'm hoping Cole Palmer is out on the right and we go back to the way things were before, because I think that did make a big difference. But yeah, other than that, you're hoping Jackson gets a scrappy goal or a tap in. You're then looking at a centre back from a set piece. Our set pieces aren't always consistent, so yeah, I'm going to go with Sterling, and I mean my gut wants to say Cole Palmer, and I really hope it's not a penalty.
Yeah. Yeah, we need goals from midfield. We've got no goals from actual midfielders.
But again, it's another thing about Nkuku coming back. But if we can't get a striker that's going to bang in goals, he'll take over the striker position. True. Cole Palmer will still be out right, and Sterling will be out left. But ideally, it'd be nice to have Cole Palmer, Sterling, Nkuku, and a goal-scoring striker all on the pitch. So they're sharing the responsibility at the moment. I feel like it's just constantly falling on the same players. We're not getting goals from midfield, which has been a problem for us since Mason Mount.
Go on here.
Is that what you said?
Sure, I just said we're not getting goals from midfield. I'm sure I just did that.
I honestly didn't hear you, mate, to be fair.
That's what started that conversation.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah, all we do is see. Let's hope Connor justifies his existence with a goal.
He had a bad game against Newcastle, but again, I don't think he's been playing badly. I know you love it. Again, I'll still maintain that he's been better than Caicedo this year, and I'd have him in the team over Caicedo any day of the week.
Absolute bite. We're fishing for it, and we got it. That's what you want to see. That's what
I'm just standing up for what I believe in, mate. Like I'd have Gallagher in the team rather than Caicedo any day of the week. Unfortunately, I just don't think we've got another player that can play out wide right as good as Palmer at the moment. So who knows? Maybe when Nkuku does come back in, Caicedo can sit on the bench, which won't happen.
Madueke, beat players, cut inside. He's hit the bar a couple of times. What more do you want?
So how come you didn't put Madueke in this week then?
Because I didn't think that we need to have a strong midfield, and I don't think that Cole Palmer is as good at pressing. He's good at cutting off the channels. He's not as good at pressing as Gallagher.
Oh, okay, cool.
Fine. I want my centre attacking midfielder to also chip in with some goals rather than just defensive work. But that's, it's nice to have defensive work.
I completely.
A couple of goals would be nice.
No, I completely agree. That's what I would look for from a centre attacking midfielder as well. But I've always said I don't think he's really that kind of player. You're the one who said, "Oh, he scored goals at Crystal Palace and stuff," but he didn't get many. You got a few, but he didn't get many.
Fine.
So, yes, the midfield debate continues.
Does.
You going to the game on Sunday?
Yes.
Sweet. I will see you there. And on that note, anything else you would like to add to the pre-game analysis for the Brighton home game this weekend?
No, we've droned on for long enough, I'd say.
Fair, sweet. Like, share, follow, subscribe, comment, notification button, all that jazz. And stay tuned for the post game, and thank you for watching.